It will take about 35 minutes to get through everything. And I'm going to be showing you from the slide deck where everything is very straightforward. And then I'm going to jump into Google Meet and give you the tour of what you're looking at. Please do take notes and write down your questions. Your chances are, I might answer your question while we're going through, but then we're going to have 10 minutes at the end for just straight up question and answer. This particular slide in the slide deck is a table of contents. So far, we've covered Gmail, we've covered Calendar, we've covered Google Drive, and today we're going to cover Google Meet. I don't believe we're going to do a Google for All session on Zoom because most folks are using it, but we did provide it to the classified folks. So when you click on those little icons, it will jump you ahead to the slides because our slide deck is 100 something. It's going to get to 200 slides soon. So use those icons to jump to the different products that you want to use. So Meet is Google's video conferencing product. And here are the topics we're going to go over. Basically how to access it to get started, how you would schedule and invite participants, and then we're going to take a quick tour, and the tour is going to involve all of the different options that you've got. And again, all of these titles here are links, and they'll take you right to the slide where you will find that topic covered. So Google Basics, and it's always important to go over these because we use them all the time throughout the Google Suite. The waffle is the apps link. So when you click on that waffle and you see it on your Gmail or your calendar or a Google Chrome tab, you'll see Google Docs and YouTube and Google Meet and everything else that Google makes pop up. And then we've got the kebab, which is the shortened version of the hamburger. And those are usually settings. Usually they're really close to where the waffle is. They're usually in the upper right, but sometimes you'll find them on the left. The question mark is usually on the upper right. And I love that question mark because it is immediate search. I can type in a question about whatever I'm using in Google, and it'll send me to the help articles. And the gear is like a master setting. So the kebab or the hamburger might be other options or settings, but the gear is going to provide you with master settings. And again, that's on every Google product.
So I've made it over here now. So if you have any questions, folks, you can go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll answer them as best I can.
Thank you, Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so how do you access Google Meet? Like I said, it's embedded in everywhere in Google and all of their products. So recently this year, they embedded it in Gmail. So when you go back to your email later on and you look in the lower left, you will have an option to start a Google Meet right from your Gmail. And you can also see what meetings you have scheduled. In Google Classroom, teachers have a link and students can use that link so they don't have to keep sharing things. It also keeps the virtual classroom, the Google Meet classroom secure. So they've embedded that in Google Classroom. And you'll also find it in Calendar. It's one click on your calendar. And I'm going to be focusing on using it from Calendar because that's typically where we begin. We start with a date, we want to meet with someone, and then we want to add that feature. There is a site, meet.google.com, but I don't find it particularly useful. You can use it, but for the purposes of just being efficient in your life, I think accessing it from Calendar is going to be where you want to go. So how do we get there? First of all, if you're on the Chrome menu or on a new Chrome tab, look for the waffle. And in the upper right-hand corner, and then you'll see the little icon for Meet. It just looks like a multicolored video camera, and you click on that. That's going to take you to that, that's going to take you to meet.google.com that I showed you earlier. You can start a meeting right from there. But if you're going to start from Calendar, which is what I'm really kind of pushing here, you start again with the waffle, and instead choose Calendar. And it's going to take you to your Google Calendar page, and you're going to set up a new event. And it's so easy. You're just going to click a button that says add Google Meet video conferencing, and that's it. And then you can send the invitation to your participants. So I think I'm going to go ahead and show that. Let me escape here and let me go. So I'm just going to open up a brand new tab. And here's my waffle on the upper right. And you'll see there's Google Meet. So if I want to click that, I go to meet.google.com, but I'm not going to do that because I want to start from Calendar and I want to invite my friends. So you want to go to the upper left. And by the way, we have an entire slide deck on Google Calendar basics and next steps. It's in the slide deck that I'm working from now. It's just much earlier on. So if you want to brush up on your Google Calendar, the resources are there for you. So on the upper left, I'm going to click Create. And I'm just going to put in a title, Meeting with Laurie. And the button is obvious. It's big and blue. Add Google Meet video conferencing. Done. Let's just find a time here. Oh, whoops. So this is going to show me Laurie's calendar if I want to do that. And I didn't actually want to do that. Let's just say it's going to start at 10. Okay. So now I'm going to click Add Google Meet video conferencing. Done. Now I can add Laurie or anyone else that I'd be meeting with. And then when I click Save, it's going to ask me if I want to send that invitation. And I can go ahead and click Send, but I'm not going to actually do it. That's how easy it is to schedule a Google Meet. And when the other folks that you've invited get that invite, all they do is they click the blue button, Join with Google Meet. And with Calendar, they're also going to get notifications in their Gmail as well. So that's where they can click from their Gmail and join from there. That's one of the reasons why I love Google Meet, because it's so versatile and so easy to access and use for Google users. All right. So next up, we're going to go over joining, and all of you joined successfully. So I'm just going to point out some of the little buttons that you might not have noticed when you joined. So when you first get to that join screen, you'll see whether or not your audio or your camera is turned off. It's just a red indicator. For the red is on, that means it's off. But in the right, and this is what you might not have noticed, there's a little circle with a silhouette with diagonal, like a shaded background. You have some background options that you can select before you join. You can also do it after you join, but it's kind of nice to start. And some of those options are that you don't have a background, it's just natural, that you have a blurred background, and they've got two different shades, two different levels of blur, and then different pictures that you can select from. And then everyone did what they were supposed to do and click Join Now, and you got here with me. So we're next going to unpack your screen. And I'm going to start from the top, and then we'll move left to right across the bottom. And then I'll hop out and we'll take a look at it. So from the top left, or it's the top right, but the furthest left, you have a little silhouette, and that will show the participant lists. And if you're the host, you can mute, remove, or pin particular participants just from clicking on that list. Next to that, it's a speech bubble, and that's for our chat. I have some special shapes, and you might see them on your screen simply because as the host, I have some extra options, such as if I wanted to poll or I wanted to send you to breakout rooms. There are some extra paid features. Now I'm going to go across the bottom here. Another feature I really like about Meet is that if I attach documents or websites or other reference materials for folks in the calendar invite, they show up in the Google Meet so that people don't have to go around searching their email, their Google Drive for whatever it was you wanted to discuss during your meeting. You can attach it to your calendar invite, and then it will show up in your Google Meet when you click the little caret in the left corner. Then there's a little security icon you're going to see because I'm the host, so you'll see my host controls. When you want to leave the call, you'll see an old school phone receiver, and you would just click that to end. There is a raise the hand feature, and you can turn on captions. That is something that you can do on your end. So every user, even if I enabled it for myself, it doesn't enable it for everyone else. And let's see, so sharing screens, they have a couple different options. And I should point out that everything I'm showing you here, other than a few more settings that we'll get over to once we're live in Meet, there are no different settings depending on if you're on a cell phone or on a Chromebook or on a different device. It's not like Zoom where there's a gazillion settings that change on a weekly basis. Google does make changes every few months, but everything is pretty much right in front of you. It's very intuitive to use. Okay, so the chat up at the top, and I know that if some of you have questions and you're used to Zoom, this is very similar, with the one caveat that make sure that after you type your note, look for a little kind of grayed out paper airplane. Click the paper airplane to send your message. Otherwise, if you just type it, it will not go. All right, so I'm going to hop out and go into Meet. Okay, so here up at the top, here's the participant list. And you can see in here that I do have, like it says, I have some host controls here. I'm going to show you where that is on the bottom portion of the screen. But I have options to mute everyone, and I have options to remove someone from the meeting or to pin someone's image to the screen. And here's our chat. All right, there's that little paper airplane that I was telling you about that you need to make sure to click. And before I forget, I still had this pasted, so I'm going to put in our slide deck link. Yes, and thanks, Dwayne. Unlike Zoom, chat does go to everyone. And just for the sake of you seeing what some of these paid features are, right now there's really only 3, and I only find 2 of them to be really useful. And that is breakout rooms and polls. Questions, I don't know if I don't think I would pay for that feature. I just used the chat for that. I played with it, but I didn't think it was something that exciting. All right, so on the bottom, if I click the title of this, so this is just Google for All Google Meet, and you'll see a caret next to it. If you click that, if I had any attachments, any Google Docs, any images, any websites, you would see them linked here, and you would just click and access that. As the host, I do have some controls here, and again, it is not anything like Zoom, very limited. Can you or can you not share your screen? Can you or can you not chat? All right, and let's see. Turning on captions, I'm going to go over in more depth a little later, and that's because you have the ability to change the language of those captions. And it also changes the language of your chat as well. I found it's a little glitchy, but I'm still going to show it to you anyway. Now, when I present, I'm not going to do it right now. I'll show you from the slides. I've got a few options, depending on whether or not I'm going to be using video. It affects just the sound quality that your Meet participants are going to hear. So these are the most settings that you're going to see overall. So it's that kebab, right, on the far right. And I'm going to be going over some of these in a little more depth. The main settings here, so that's where your settings gear is. I'm going to go ahead and click that. That was next up on the slide anyway. You've only got 3 areas to worry about. That's, where is your microphone input? Are you using something Bluetooth? Have you got something plugged in? So you could switch what your microphone input is. I have noise cancellation, and that is again an extra paid feature. I have tried it without noise cancellation. It's mildly effective. I think most of us check to make sure our environment is pretty quiet at this point. So for your video, if you use a filter like a snap camera or something else, here's where you could toggle between different cameras. And because Google puts things in 5 different places, here are those very basic 3 host controls. So let me close out of that, and I'll go back to our slide deck. So these slides, this is exactly what I just showed you. I really don't play with them too often. Every once in a while, I might change my video setting, but that's pretty much it. The security settings, again, those are only available to hosts. So if you don't see that blue shield icon, that's because you're a participant. But I could decide if, how secure I wanted to keep this meeting by toggling the quick access on or off. So it's nice they do have some basic security features there. I'm not going to go over that. So screen layout options. I showed you, I showed you from the kebab, that entire list. So this is the 3rd down on the list. So when you change your layout, you could decide, if you have 30 to 40 students or participants that you want to see in your meeting, you can toggle to see up to 49 tiles at one time on your screen. If you just wanted to see the speaker, you could hit spotlight. You could pick, sidebar. There are these other options. I always keep mine on auto. That way, when someone is presenting, that's, it automatically resizes everything for me. It's perfect. But I have maximized as a default the number of tiles, and you just have to do it once. Just set it to 49 and you're good to go. The captions and translations, again, this might be a little tricky. It's going to definitely be the trickiest thing that I'm going to show you today. And that's simply because for some reason we found that the Google Translate feature does not pop up for everyone. So this will be another poll, like a little assessment for me to see who has it and who doesn't, and to try to figure this out, because I still haven't figured it out. So what you do at the bottom is you enable captions. And then from your, you go to the top, you click on the icon for the participant list, you right click on it, or use a 2-finger tap, and you're going to select translate. And it's going to say translate to English. But then you're going to have an option to choose another language. So we're going to see, hopefully it's going to work fine on mine, just watch. And then that way, at least you can see what you're looking for. Because what will happen is that Google Translate is going to kick in, and it's a really small icon that's going to appear on your address bar. So let me stop there. And let's go into Google Meet. And I'm assuming it's going to work. It's always worked for me before. I'm going to turn on my captions. Okay, so now I'm going to go up to where I see the participant list icon, that little silhouette, and I'm going to do a 2-finger tap on my touchpad. And you'll see that about halfway down, I have the option, translate to English. I'm going to click on that. Now you'll notice on my screen, I got a pop-up, and this is where, for some reason, some folks have reported that they don't get that pop-up. I'm going to change my language to, I'm going to click the kebab, choose another language, and I'm going to select Spanish. I'm half Armenian. Last time I did this, just for fun, I put it in Armenian. It's just like mind-blowing to me that just in an instant I can just change to whatever language I need. So if you're working with populations of families, and you've got maybe 3 or 4 different languages, this is something, in fact, I should probably make a video on it, a separate video for families, showing them how they can translate Google Meet into different languages. At this point, I think most teachers are using Zoom. So you'll notice on my screen now, I've got my captions in Spanish. And if I go over to my chat, everything in my chat is now in Spanish as well. And I can't vouch for the accuracy, but I'm assuming it's, yeah, I've found it's pretty accurate. So to change it back to English, let me close chat. Oops. Why is it not letting me get off it? Anyway, I'm going to go back. I'm going to switch from Spanish, choose another language, and I'm going to go back to English. Translate. Done. That's interesting. As soon as I went back to English, then I got the ability to close chat again. And now I'm going to turn off my captions. So let's see. We still have a little bit of time. I think I mostly showed everything, but let me go back to the slide deck because I want all of you to try that. I'm curious if that works for you. I think it's one of the most helpful features of Meet as we interact with our families and even newcomer students that might need that support. Okay, so I showed you where to find the attachments, links and attachments. And again, if you're using Google Calendar to start from when you're setting up your Meet, that is where you will place any of those attachments. You can put it in the notes section and it shows up here. Oh, screen sharing. So this was what I was not able to show you. When you click on Present Now in Google Meet, you have 3 different options. I will only use 2. And the first one is your entire screen. I like to have the flexibility to just move around and use my computer as I normally do, and selecting your entire screen enables that. A tab would be what I would use if I'm showing a video. So anything streaming, select a tab because it optimizes the video and the audio. Now, when it pulls up, when you click one of those options, a little box is going to pop up, a menu box. You have to select the thumbnail image of your screen. Otherwise, the word share is going to be grayed out. You're just going to be staring at it. So you have to make sure, select that box, it will get, or the thumbnail, and it will highlight. And then you're going to select share. And then you will have your content, broadcast to your participants. Oh, Jamboard. How could I forget Jamboard? This is this is probably, actually, this is my favorite feature of Google Meet because they've built in a digital whiteboard automatically, and we'll just do that together. You can start one from scratch, or if you're someone that likes to research or create templates, you can create templates and share it. The cool thing about just doing it from scratch, the link or whatever you select, the link will appear in the chat pretty much instantaneously. So let's go ahead and try that out. Actually, I just looked at the time, and I don't think we're going to have time to try it out. But
and just so if you're interested in Jamboard, though, we are having on Monday afternoon at 3:15, we are having a training on Jamboard. So if you're really interested in learning how to use Jamboard, please come 3:15 on Monday. You can sign up on Sched.
Yeah, I'll go through the process and actually open one up, and then you can play around with it later, just see what the feature is, and then come on Monday to learn more about it. It is such a fun way to interact with anyone that you're meeting with. So it's the very top option from the Kebab menu. The Kebab is on the far right. I'm going to click Whiteboard, open a jam. I'm just going to start a new one. And you should notice that in the chat, if you click the chat, I need to give you, it's going to ask me what kind of access you have. Is it something where I'm going to be writing and I just want you to look at, or do I want you to edit it? So automatically it pulls up all of the participants. It's asking me what access. I'm going to go ahead and allow everyone to edit. And then if you click on that link that's in the chat, then you're going to get to a Jamboard. And so I see Laurie is already in it. Basically, you know, I can write, I can insert pictures. It's a way for me to quickly have my students come in and they could maybe put in a drawing or picture to let me know how they're doing for the day. There's little Post-its. And you have options to upload backgrounds as well. So again, I'm not going to get really into the details of it, but I just wanted to open it up and allow you to, you know, you can, if you have time after this, maybe you can play with it a little bit. But this would be a great way for you to interact with your students or with other folks you're meeting with. I use Google Meet to meet with my family, and it's a really fun way to interact with my dad anyway. My brothers might be a little snarky with their pictures and comments, but my dad is great. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about is recording and video storage. This is a feature that we've been using since the beginning of the pandemic, but Google has changed their storage limits for us, unfortunately. When you hit the kebab, recording is right under Whiteboard. So I'm recording right now. Now, in the past, we have been able to record unlimited time limits, and it automatically goes to my Google Drive. I have a folder in there that Google automatically makes called Meet Recordings. And the storage for that has been, you know, unlimited until I delete it. Google is in the process of changing. I haven't tested it out yet. Their current storage for our basic level of subscription is 30 days, so a month for those recordings to be stored. So if you're recording something for families or for students, it's only going to last for 30 days, and you cannot bypass it by uploading it to YouTube, because Google also owns YouTube. And the question was already asked, if I upload it to YouTube, will you be able to delete it? And yes, basically the file will self-destruct no matter where you have put it. So unless you go into Zoom and record yourself, yeah, unless you do some other way of recording that, it is, you know, unfortunately, we have that limitation. But for the purpose of serving students and giving them access if they could not attend a session with you, or, you know, for helping parents out with something on the spot, I think 30 days for the most part is going to serve those purposes for us pretty well. So Dwayne, the sharing is, it's going to ask you, there will be a pop-up box that will ask you if you want to share and what permission level is going to be shared. So you can make that selection at the beginning. All right, let me see. I think that's everything on the slide deck, and then we can answer questions. Oh, I did put a link, or I did put an image on the slide deck of my Google Drive, just so you can see where Meet recordings live. I've got a bunch of things on my Google Drive, but if you're curious, if you have any recordings that you didn't, you know, realize, you can scroll down on the left sidebar of your Google Drive, look for a folder called Meet Recordings, and everything will be in there. And that's another ease of access, and in comparison to Zoom, where you have to upload, Google Meet automatically goes to your Google Drive. And I think, and that is it. So we covered everything. We have just under 10 minutes. Questions about Google Meet? Or have I converted anyone to Google Meet from Zoom?
No.
One
thing I have to say about that is, so it's like the right tool for the job, right?
Yep.
Meet is really great if you're just going to have a basic meeting, right? You don't need bells and whistles. You don't need breakout rooms. You don't need any of that craziness. You just want to meet. Google Meet is great for that. If you need to have the bells and whistles, if you need to have the breakout rooms, if you need to have the polling, if you need to have all that stuff, then go ahead and use Zoom. Otherwise, the district really, we have both of those tools. So it's really up to you which one you want to use. And we use, our department uses almost exclusively, we use Meet for meetings because you don't need breakout rooms for meetings, generally speaking. So I think a lot of you are working in the office. And if you are, then, Meet is great just for meetings. It's very simple, easy to use.
Yeah, and it's easy. I mean, if you're thinking about a tool, to interact with, new parents that come to the district, like say you have to do a quick virtual meet, or even with young children, Meet is so intuitive and very easy. And like I said, I use it on a personal basis with my parents and family. I did put the link to the evaluation in the chat. And if there are any features or anything more specific that you would like me to add about Google Meet, please do tell me exactly what you need so I can make those changes in the slide deck. We will have the recording for this up probably, let's say by tomorrow on our website. And I'll go ahead and put the link for that as well. And you can you can also find the videos from, say, our Google Calendar session, or Laurie's mentioned we have Monday mixers. We go over EdTech tools Monday afternoons. You can find the videos from those sessions as well on our website. All right.
And then Dwayne had a question about when the host starts a Jamboard, is the sharing automatically open to the participants?
No, and that's what I was saying at the beginning. You have to, when you click to start that Jamboard, after maybe 2 or 3 seconds, a secondary pop-up box is going to come up, and it's going to ask who you want to share it with. It automatically populates the names from chat. So say there's a student that you shouldn't be giving edit access to, you can remove that person's name, but then you can select if they're going to be viewers or edits, and then there's another like share tab on that. Let me click on it. So starting a new whiteboard. Here, so tell me, I'm going to try to present my screen. I thought that you would be able to see it, but maybe not. Let's try it.
We did see where it had populated with the email addresses of everyone who was in the Zoom, or not Zoom, Meet. Ooh, whoops.
So I'm going to click Start a New Whiteboard. Oh, let me hide this thing at the bottom. So yeah, there is, turn link sharing on if you wanted to do that. And then here's where you would edit or select edit or view. And yes, if I didn't want to give access to all of those folks, I could select. Go ahead and cancel that out. And Jamboard is tons of fun. And like everything, Google just keeps making it better. I know that the history so if you want to see who revised or changed what on a Jamboard, Google is formally rolling out that feature this month, actually, according to Google News. All right. Any other last minute questions? Well, thank you all for joining us. Can't believe we've gone over 4 Google Suite tools in this much depth. It's pretty exciting. Let's see. This week on Champions for Google, we are going to be going over Google Docs. I'll be doing basic, and Laurie is going to be doing advanced. So I think next Wednesday we'll be covering, Laurie's going to cover, it's Google Docs basic.
Yes.
Yeah. any Wednesday middle of the week news or jokes or happiness is? I'm just happy it's the middle of another week. I can't believe it. Yeah, Dwayne.
Yeah, I just clicked on Create a Jamboard, and I'm just wondering if anybody can get into it, or does it say restricted or request access?
Did you put the link in the?
Yeah, it automatically
Okay.
populates.
Yeah, if you're the host, it automatically populates in the chat. If you're
Even
not,
so, I've had it with students where they've clicked on Create a Jamboard and the link will automatically populate in the chat. But when you click on it, it says request access. And I don't know if that's because at the elementary level, the students' email addresses aren't really real email addresses or not turned on, so to speak, or if it's just a participant versus host thing. That's why I wanted to see if you were able to open that Jamboard today at 9:43.
It could actually be, it could be that just, I mean, if the wccschools.org, there are certain restrictions on any of those emails, regardless of what grade level they are too. That might also be part of it because they can't, for instance, they can't start their own meets, right?
Right.
And that's across the board.
Yeah.
So that may be the issue because we're all wccusd.net. So we have all the power. So that's probably why we're able to go ahead and get into yours right now. And it doesn't always work. Yeah, for the kids.
Okay. So I'll continue to investigate that with my students, because I think one time I did go to create a Jamboard from my classroom meet, and it asked for who do I want to that little pop up, the sharing thing. I would have had to enter all their names. It did not automatically populate the student names like it does here in this meeting with our participants.
Huh. Well, I do have the Google Enterprise, which is the stepped up version. So now I'm curious to know if that is a feature that is part of that Google Enterprise version that I didn't know about. So yeah, next time you try Jamboard with your students, Dwayne, let us know if it populates all the kids' names.
Yeah, it seems to me I recall it does not, and that's why I haven't been using it. Because after the first time, I was like, "Oh, this isn't any good." But it's been a while, so I'll check again.
Okay. Yeah. So what Dwayne is talking about is just if it doesn't pre-populate the names and ask you what the permission access is, there is another step, which is that you would have to then go out of the meet, just pop over to the Jamboard, copy that link, paste it in the chat, and then change the permission. So you'd have to do that manually. It's a few clicks, but yeah, it's not as seamless. So that will be good to know, because now, Dwayne, I might have to change my slide deck. So will you report back?
Yeah, I'll try it this morning with my class and see what happens, and then I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks. Great.
I also dropped it. I dropped it to the chat because Avelia asked for it. The web address for everything. So if you just go to that bit.ly / WCC Google for All, you're going to get the slide deck and the videos. I really suggest that you bookmark that so that it's there for you. And if you're not sure about how to bookmark, let me drop another link in here. Another great thing to do is to take a look at our mission control, which we put out once a week. Hold on a minute. I'm having a really hard time remembering stuff this morning. So yeah. Let me get that for you. Here it is. And check this out. There's information this week actually about how to bookmark. And when you go there, it's a slideshow and it moves pretty quickly. The controls for the slideshow, bottom left-hand corner, you can pause it, go back and forth, look at the different slides.